because this is something not a lot of people are talking about it. They say, okay, create habits. They say dream big, create vision boards. They don't say what exactly do you do when you don't feel confident, when you are overthinking it, when things are just so low that you don't feel like doing anything. So let's get started and move from what I say is a surviving mindset towards a thriving 2026. So I've created a presentation to actually assist me so you get a better visual of what exactly I'm talking about. So here we go. So here we are, a Thrive 2026. The goal here is for you to have the tools to build clarity, to get to feel confident, because when you have clarity, you feel more confident, right? So basically the thing is to stop the overthinking process and actually create breakthroughs that you feel like your life is improving, your life is moving forward. You feel like things are actually working out for you. You are thriving. So that's the goal for 2026. So let's go and see how we can do that. So we're going to go over how to control your focus. So basically, what happens is that your brain answers whatever you ask it. It can help you with construct the answers and build the predictions. So basically, if you are stuck watching a movie late in the night, you started the series when you can't help, even if you're dead tired and you still watch one more episode, it's because you have open questions in your mind. You have, what is going to happen? I want to find out. And therefore, your mind is willing to decide to sacrifice sleep, to sacrifice your productivity next day, because it's going to borrow from the energy that you were supposed for you to replenish during the night so you can find out the answer. Whenever we stay up at late with different problems is because we don't have an answer. Our brain is relentlessly keeping us awake in order to gather any information that might have, any clues that might have overlooked in order to find the answer to open questions that you have in your mind. So the kind of questions we are asking is very important because that's going to focus our mind and is going to spin in order to find the answer. So basically, this is very important how you control your focus, and I'm going to expand on the topic. But basically, keep in mind this thing. Your brain answers whatever you ask. So our awareness is going to be around what kind of questions are you asking. You're going to envision next steps. You're going to notice signs of progress. You're going to create. Then how to shape a thriving mindset. What questions you ask yourself in order to create forward momentum. I'm going to give you the exact question that you can ask, that you can practice. And then you will see that instantly your state is changing from feeling drained to actually feeling inspired, from being close to being open. So learn the questions that create thriving thinking and resourcefulness. The third point, we're going to how to build thriving partnerships, because everything that we do and the people that we are surrounded ourselves with are actually, we are very much influenced. So you want to pay attention to the kind of questions they are asking. Are they asking surviving questions that are going to keep you stuck, or they are actually asking thriving questions that are going to get you to thrive, feel like more clear, more confident? So this is very important because everything we build, we are building with people. You want to build a company, you're building it with people. You need employees. You are part of a family. You want a partner. We thrive in relationship with other people. Okay, so first of all, how do you control your focus? I'm getting a little bit deeper because besides the fact that I told you the story with, keeping you awake at night, just because you have an open loop, just because you have, a question open and you can't help but actually give your energy, give your time in order to find out the answer. So your brain is relentlessly working to provide you with answers to the kind of questions you let open in your mind. And that's in neuroscience is called selective attention. So basically, when you look around based on the question that you're asking, like where is green? On the screen, you're going to notice, and then you are going to pay attention to everything that is green, right? If you, lost a friend in a crowd and they were wearing a green jacket, then you are going to pay attention. You're going to remove all the other types and you're going to pay attention to where is a green jacket. So where is my friend, right? I'm deleting everything else. Another one is instinctive elaboration. When we are asked the question, right, our brain is automatically trying to answer the question. That's why we tell kids, don't talk to strangers, because strangers are asking them questions. And kids can't help but actually tell exactly the truth. They are giving them the answer, but they cannot predict what is the other person going to do with the information. We need a level of awareness in order to catch what kind of questions are open in our mind. And they can be opened by social media, by news, that are instilling fear in us and creating like the worst thing that can happen. But basically, we have no control or actually changing them, right? So basically, when we give our time, our energy to this kind of things, we don't have time to ask the right questions that are actually moving our life forward. Another one is our predictive brain. This is coming from my favorite neuroscientist. It's really open. Lisa Feldman Barrett. She's using this term of predictive brain. So basically, our brain is at all times predicting what is going to happen, creating these scenarios. I'm going to be safe. I'm going to be cheated. That's going to be successful, right? All these possibilities, we have to question them if they are actually serving us, if they are having like some base of reality. And I'm going to expand on this. It's a very important aspect. So I think we've talked here, we covered these elements. So I have this from Lisa Feldman Barrett. I said like scientific revolutions tend to emerge not from a sudden discovery, but by asking better questions. Anything, if we want to revolutionize our life, we have to ask better questions. When we are asking different questions, that's when actually real change happens. And she's an expert on emotions. And she says how our emotions are made if they aren't simply triggered reactions. So for a long time, and still some people and scientists today believe that emotions are triggered reactions. We couldn't help but actually have that kind of emotion. And we reacted based on the emotion that we couldn't control, right? She asked the different questions. Why do they vary so much? And why have we believed for so long that they have distinctive fingerprints, that they are somewhere in our lizard brain, our emotions, and then we are triggered and then we behave in a certain way? And she actually posed different questions in terms of emotions and discovered that actually we are constructing the emotion. There's no specific place where anger is triggered. There's no specific place where you can see and there is love. We are interpreting our body reactions. We are interpreting the context we are in, and we give meanings. Okay, let me know if you have any questions by now, because I'm going to reinforce again and again that the kind of questions we are asked has actually determined the quality of our life. And I have this quote attributed to Albert Einstein that it says, if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. But once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. So knowing to ask better questions is a skill that is actually going to change your life. And I'm going to show specifics like in terms of the questions that we are asking, right? So just let me take you through this part, right? Like when we think about our past, right? And now we are at the end of the year and we might ask, why haven't I already achieved the goals that I've set for myself? Why is it taking so long? Why is not, the goals or the things that I want in my, why is not love showed up in my life? Why is not the amount of money I want to show up in my life? So when we think about our past and we're asking this question, what am I missing? What's wrong with me, right? Why is it taking so long? All these questions are keeping you in the same surviving. What it's telling is like, you are not good enough. You're not worth it. Is something wrong with you? Because when you say, what am I missing? Then it's just looking at your weaknesses, is looking at the things that you haven't done. And what I've noticed again and again is that people are actually making progress, but basically because they never ask the questions that are actually revealing those elements of progress, the wins. They never celebrate, never fulfilled, never satisfied, always like frustrated, angry with themselves, right? So this would be like a huge change, because only when you ask this question, how do you feel like only me reading this It's just instantly, I feel like if I go and answer, what am I missing? I can find an infinite reasons, but how is that helpful? But then on the other side, like in the present moment, if you think about the future and we're asking, what if I fail? What other people are going to say? Like, what if I make a mistake? What if people are not going to like it? Like, as a main surviving, thinking about the future, in thinking that by focusing on answering this question, we are going to get what we want. But that's not what happens, right? Is telling you that something is wrong with you or something is wrong with the other people around you, and they are the reason for the things. Most people are just instantly justifying why they can't. And when they start to answer this question, why they can't, they just create this barrier, to create this wall that keeps them safe, keeps them in the same loop. But let's actually move and see how can you remove this barrier. So in the end, we want to be safe. We want to see what can go wrong or what went wrong in order to protect ourselves. So this is what our brain is actually doing, asking these default surviving questions. They are not wrong in itself, but they are not serving. They are not moving you into thriving. And basically, we need to make the distinctions because in different contexts, right, it's important to know what went wrong when we are talking that car needed a repair and that went wrong and you need to fix it because your surviving is literally at risk, right? So there are contexts. But when you focus on the human side, on the minds, then you want to change the question. So let's see what kind of questions can move you into thriving. We've talked again already, like why it's so difficult, what if I fail, what's wrong with me? I literally don't want to read them anymore because it already gets this kind of vibe and energy. But this is what happens. So let's see how can we find like more helpful questions that are actually moving us into thriving. So here we are. When we think about our past, it's like, what resources do I currently have that I can leverage? And a lot of times we think, oh, but I don't have resources. Like what I want to achieve is so big. Like I don't have the time. I don't have the money for the things that I want to go by. And I have this story while I was in my village and I really wanted to continue my studies because I thought like, if I continue my studies, I have opportunity to improve my life. But I needed some math lessons, right? Because I had an exam in math and I was struggling. The current teacher that I have wasn't that invested to help us. So I knew a good teacher, but in order to get private classes with her, I had to have money. And my parents, as they were like living in the village, they didn't have money. And that was the thing. But what they did have was, my mother said, okay, you can ask her, but we can give her like chicken we have cheese. And this is exactly what I did. Like I went to her, I called her a number in the book with the phone numbers back in the 20 years ago. More. And therefore I called her and I told her who I am. And I said, like, I want to talk to her. I went to her place, explained that I really want to continue my studies. I need help with math, but I don't have money. I have chicken and cheese. And she said, yes. So every week I was bringing chicken and cheese and I was getting math lessons in return. Sometimes we think we don't have the resources. We don't have the time. We are so constrained, but we don't have to have everything. We need to use the resources that we currently have in order to move, one step closer towards what you really, really want. And then repeat that. Therefore, if you ask a different question, like, okay, I have this challenge, right? Things are not going the way I am. How can this be an opportunity? How is this good for me? Maybe it's not, coming the things that you want because you are not skilled enough. You need to humble yourself a little bit. It happened to me, right? Like sometimes I was like, so demanding of the things that I want. I know what I want and I want it now. But then I had to, just humble myself a little bit. And that was better because when the thing came, I actually been able to live it with gratitude, feel so much more grateful. And I paid more attention to it than actually being handed very fast when I wanted it. Also, when we look at our mistakes, what can I learn from the situations? Now that this happened, what is it that I know that is different, right? What are my strengths instead of always looking for our weaknesses? What are really my strengths? What exactly is it that I enjoyed when I was 7, when I was 9, when there were no pressures and responsibilities put on us to provide for ourselves or to assure our own surviving? What do I already know? So when we think about our past, like what is already good? What have you achieved, for example, this year? What are your wins? Like go and come every month. You will notice that there are some things, that there are elements of wins, there are elements of progress. You think, oh, this is no big deal. This is no big deal. But then when you collect them, you will realize that you're actually, life is teaching you, life is moving you towards what is it that you want. And there is progress. Okay, let's move forward. Let's make this bigger. I don't know how big was it, but I want us to see each other. So what would be some signs of progress when you think about the future and we want to see it in terms of thriving? So when we think about surviving, it's like what went wrong? What can go wrong? But when it's like, what would be some signs of progress? What would be a first step? How would I recognize that things are moving in the right direction? So when we ask this question, it's really small, right? Like, oh, what will be a sign of progress today? You don't have to push yourself into action. Just this exercise or just imagining it, right? Who can help? Some people can help and some people will be indeed against you. But who are the people that who can help? Who can be an inspiration for you? What new skills or knowledge do I need to move forward? Make a list of the books. I always make a list of books that I want to read. I never get to read all the books on my list, but still I make the list of the things that I want to read because I want to learn more. What skill do I want to learn for the courses that I need or coach that I have to hire? Because it is exactly how I hired the math teacher, right? Like I needed help from someone. I knew I can do it myself. Also, ultimate questions like what is it that I want? How would that look like? That's when you can experience with your vision boards, creating this inspirational vibe around you. I love that. You do it. But basically the questions that are driving your actions, if you keep more thriving questions in your mind, that's going to help more towards thriving. If you have in the same direction, therefore your time and energy is going to be spent in that direction. So here you can take a screenshot. I'll make myself here on myself in a corner. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of that. The question is like you always have a choice to change the kind of questions you let your mind process. You can change the kind of questions on how you look at the outside world. So that is selective attention on the outside, instinctive elaboration when it's inside. So basically, being aware, if someone is asking you a surviving question, you're going to spiral. If someone is going to ask you thriving questions, you're going to get creative and inspired and open. So be mindful of the question you ask yourself, the question you entertain with other people, maybe even the questions that haven't been asked, but they are questions that we are actually answers in the conversations, right? So basically you want to have. So here is like how I envision the kind of emotions and how I've experienced them. By changing the questions, we definitely change our state. When we think what went wrong, why is that happening to me? You experience regret. When you think like, why have I lost? Then you experience grief. And then what is wrong with me? Experience shame and you want to hide. So that's, you don't want to show up again. Because you perceive the mistake as being something wrong. On the other side, if you ask a different question, you can see the mistake as learning lessons. Like maybe something that you now know that you didn't know before. But we think, oh, I should have known. But if you wouldn't have tried, if you wouldn't have done it, you couldn't have known. And we keep a constant hurt about what already happened. So we keep ourselves stuck mostly in the past. We don't move into action. On the other side, right? Like we have like, oh, I'm so grateful for my math teacher that she was willing to help me. I'm so grateful for my aunt because she actually helped me to stay in her home while I moved from the village to university and continue my study. She paid for my notebooks and she paid for my classes, and also my cousin. They both like put in their resource. I'm very grateful. So many people helped me to take the steps towards what I felt was my next step for me, or become a better version of myself. You have nostalgia, right? When you ask questions, oh, you remember when we did and it was so fun. You have comfort, you have peace with the past. So when we ask different questions, we can't experience these emotions because we created them. We create them through the questions that we are asking, what we focus on. That's because it's determining what we focus on. The other side, when you think about like in the present moment, every time we have this choice to ask a different question. And the more we engage with driving questions, the more we experience, like feel more courageous, we feel more determined. We have this anticipation towards, oh my God, I'm going to have the opportunity to do that and the other thing and impact lives and do the things that I always wanted to do. You feel more confident. You have clarity of the future as well. On the other side, overthinking, overwhelm, anxiety, anger. Why is this going to happen, right? Surviving comes with fear as the base emotion because fear is trying to keep you safe. You're never going to get rid of your surviving instinct, or emotions as anxiety are not going to go away, but you can work with them by asking different questions like, okay, and I'm going to show you in a bit. So basically what it says here, like I like this from Lisa Feldman Barrett, and there are like studies that say that you can transform from a state of anxiety, you can move into having determination, for example. All right. So basically before public speaking, before presentation, before meeting someone new, we give a meaning, oh my God, I'm so anxious. Could be like, what kind of information would reduce that uncomfortable arousal, right? So basically, if I'd be an information like, oh, but in that meeting, a friend of mine is going to be there. So therefore, automatically, that anxiety is like transforming into, oh my God, an anticipation, right? Because you're going to meet a friend. You don't feel so strange in that meeting. You know what kind of questions to ask when you go in that meeting. You know how to frame it. So having the information is going to help you to switch from anxiety to determination, to anticipation, for example. You have to know that you always have a choice. You always have a choice to change the questions. So basically, when people say, I have anxiety, I met people who are just so obsessed about their anxiety. They've read tens of books on anxiety, trying to solve their anxiety. But the more they study anxiety, the more they just are spiraling into their anxiety. They have to define what is it that they want in life, what is exciting, what they want to experience more, what they can try differently, instead of spiraling on finding more about anxiety. Maybe they can study Zen on how to be peaceful. That would be a better option, right? Than studying anxiety. You are experiencing anxiety. You name the emotion, what you are feeling, not something that you have and you can switch it. How to shape a thriving mindset, how to be confidence, how to maintain clarity. Let's go. Okay, so this is my favorite part, actually, because it gets really like more and more practical. Right. So confidence is like, I said, what is it called, like a miracle question plus signs of progress. And miracle question is exactly your vision board. But what is different is not like someday it's going to happen. This is something very, it's from solution focused coaching, because I am a solution focused coach, trained and certified. And this is my favorite question because I ask this question again and again when people come with any type of problem, not to frame this way, but like in the same frame. If a miracle happened tonight and you wake up tomorrow within your dream life, what would be the first thing you would notice? that would tell you a miracle has happened. Would others notice about you that would tell them that things are different? This is not something, right? This is not scattered vision thing about the future. This is very specific. And this is why I really like this question, is because you are into that day that you want it to be. So for example, you say, I really struggle with the team. They are not following through. They don't finish their projects. I have to step in and take over. People are coming with this problem. It's like, okay, so you wake up one day and you have your dream team and they are like showing up exactly as you wanted. How would that look like? What would they say about you? What they would notice different about you? What would you notice about them differently, right? And then the more you define that, then they find solution. They find like what exactly are their expectations, not what they don't want from the people, or noticing what is wrong with their team, noticing what is exactly the expectation, what can be done in order for that to happen as well. Or it can be your miracle. They can be like, waking up and living on an island, or having the dream partner. How does that partner interact with you? I always had this play again and again on how I want to have my relationship with my kids, how I want to have my relationship with my husband. Where do I want to live? How would that look like? We always having discussions about that. And guess what? Not many years later, we built that. We've created the things that we were like part of a miracle. And we look now around and said, oh my God, is this our life? Like, is this real? And it's not only in the outside things, but it's like how we experience them from inside, because it doesn't matter what you have on the outside if you don't feel it inside, if you don't have the emotion, if you don't have the focus on the right thing. So stopping and acknowledging the wins and feeling the gratitude and feeling nostalgic by the little things that built and created the life that you currently have. So take a pen, take a notebook, and live with this question. If you are not clear about what is it that you want, move it from the vision board, moving towards specifics, moving it towards how would that look like? How do you wake up? What work are you doing? How do you interact? How do you interact with your team? How do you interact with your kids? What are they saying about you? The more specific you have it, the easier it is to just one day you just see, oh my God, is this my day? This is what am I doing actually? Okay. So another part that is crucial in terms of building confidence and being in a thriving mindset, like every day, and knowing how to switch from that surviving part, is having a picture of the miracle day about the future. And then always like practice every day what is already good. This is what question I always ask. We were like ask with my husband, ask my kids, what was good today? And sometimes there are challenges. And what was good is like how they actually worked through that challenge. Or what was good is that they got help in a situation from a friend or from me, or they asked for help. And that was good, right? So, but the question is focusing on wins, because that's how you build like this winning mindset in the end, a thriving one. You cannot thrive by focusing on what went wrong. Why didn't I do that? With an entire list of the things that you haven't accomplished. What is one good thing that you accomplished today, right? And then moving forward in order to measure progress, but you don't measure it. It's actually looking what would be some signs of progress. I don't ask you for the next step. I don't ask you for making a plan and executing it without mistakes. It's about thinking what would be some signs of progress. Because some signs of progress would be like, I would feel at ease talking on camera. It's like talking with the person. That would be like a sign of progress. Or it could be, I wake up and I'm excited about doing one thing today. If I get that one thing done, then I will be so happy at the end of the day. That gets us to this practice. I love journaling. I love writing. Have book, big one, because I have like writing really big, and I bought myself a pen just because I love writing and I want to have the best experience by writing. At the beginning, it's not easy to, keep in your active mind these questions. And that's why journaling and writing down is making it more, you stay with a question. You have to come up with something. But after a while, it's going to become like natural state, like one thing that will make the day a good day when you start in the morning. So when we think about big goals, when we think about vision, it can be overwhelming. That's why I'm thinking about Miracle Day. It's one day, and that is how it looks. And that's why I'm thinking about today. What's one thing that would make today a good day? Because sometimes we want to accomplish so many things and we feel like we get nowhere. But that's when we keep one tab open instead of 100 tabs, trying to switch between them and accomplish them all. Because then it's going to show you what is actually important, what is the priority. And the more you stay with the question, the clearer it will become to you. You are going to see and notice and connect with your own wisdom, or you're going to find who can help you connect with that wisdom or find what is it that you need. And the other question is like a follow-up question, like what benefits it would bring for you or for others? So that's going to, if you focus on this one thing, how would that benefit you? How would it benefit others? If I get this video published, if it benefits one more person, then I am happy with this. If one person takes a journal and says like, I'm going to start asking thriving questions, more thriving questions. And I catch myself when I'm actually asking surviving questions and I'm spiraling. Okay. And then another one for the evening focus, right? What was good today? This is my favorite question. What was good today? What was good this year? What was good this month? Always, what was good? Because we miss these elements of progress. We brush them off and we feel like losers at all times just because we focus on the things that didn't happen, the things that we haven't managed to do. But when we focus on what is good, our chemicals change. So what progress did I make that I almost didn't notice? Because that's what's happening. We make progress, but we don't notice it. We put it like nothing. What's one thing I want my mind to work on while I sleep? This is a deep one. So before going to sleep, such a thing, maybe it's exactly the thing that you want to work on the next day. But if you set it from the evening, it's even more powerful. So if you know what's the one thing you want to work on next day, keep that one in mind as an intention. Write it down in your journal. It's going to be so much easier for you to just move into action the next day. So what's one thing that will make tomorrow great? Yeah. So if you keep this question before you go to sleep, that one thing the next day is going to just happen. Okay, let me know if you have questions here. Of course, I also encourage discussions with your kids, with your partner, whoever is close to you. With this kind of questions, you can journal them, write. You don't have to do it only in the morning. Whenever you have time available to engage these questions, going to be transform your life. And also I've mentioned, right, about thriving partnership, because we are always in relationship with other people and other people are having an impact on our state because they are engaging us with different questions. And Lisa Feldman Barrett said this thing, like, the co-construction of emotional experience allows us to regulate each other's body budget. And she says in another section of the book, she says, like, the best thing for a human being is another human being. But the worst thing for another human being is also another human being because it's impacting our chemistry and our state, like the interactions with the people. That's why it's so important. Then people are saying this again and again, that it's important people we surround ourselves with, because they are actually changing our chemistry. We feel like losers or we can feel like winners. And it has to do with your choice of words. How are you feeling versus are you upset? How are you feeling is an open question. It can be whatever the person is coming up with, right? But are you upset is already framed as you are upset, and you have to tell me why are you upset. Matters a lot as they shape other people's perceptions, right? Because they will go, whoa, why am I upset? Right? So what would it be if we were live in a world where the interactions would be more like towards thriving, with thriving questions, right? Instead of surviving. Like if we think about why do you always mess things up? There are so many reasons people can come up with why they did when they did and why they messed up. But does it help you or the situation to move towards a solution or not? And it's not. It's going to create more defensive, or the other person is attacking or justifying more. So it's just not the pattern that is serving. You can hear this question again and again when people are just angry, they are blaming. And they're using these questions in order to try to fix the situation. But that doesn't happen, right? They get stuck. And that's how they are spiraling. But they try to focus on what is wrong, what's the problem, thinking that if they have good understanding of the problem, they are going to find a solution. Instead of building and asking questions towards forming the solution, because it's not easy to form the solution. So better use that energy towards building a solution. So I've been asked all kind of questions like, who do you think you are? Right? When I was trying to do things, why do you think you are qualified to do that? You're just a village girl or whatever. Why happen to achieve the things that you said you're going to achieve? Or, what people will say if you're going to do that. Is it really worth it? Instead of asking you like, what's the goal you're working towards? What support would make it easier for you? How can I help? What's been a win for you lately? What does success looks like to you? What new skills or knowledge do you need to move forward, right? So when we ask thriving questions, we actually are thriving because we are building things with other people. When we ask thriving questions, we have thriving meetings, thriving partnerships, things are moving forward. Each one is feeling better in the presence, because how would you interact with someone that you do a mistake and they see, what did you learn from this? How would you do differently next time? They see for your potential. They see your growth. They see what you're capable of. They see beyond mistake. They see how you can grow out of it. That is absolutely inspiring, beautiful. This is my mission. I want to see this happening in the world, in meetings with parents, with partners. So much time and energy is wasted just by engaging in this. Like, what is it that you want? Who can help? Let's focus on that thing more. So I hope you screenshot something. Maybe a question will, capture you and you say, oh my God, this is such a good question. I want to keep asking this question. It's so relevant for me. Or maybe you ask yourself, what's the question that I need to ask myself in order for me to move forward? Make it you have your specific question. But if you say, okay, I'm asking this question, but actually I need a better question, determining the proper question to ask. That's my that's my take for today. Okay, let's go back here. So this is my presentation. This is my message to you for finishing 2025. And hopefully that's going to give you the boost to believe that 2026 it's exactly your breakthrough year, because you are coming from a different place. Your mindset is going to completely change by engaging and asking on a constant different questions, and clean questions and the engagements that are not thriving, that are not inspiring, because they're not serving anyone. They're not serving you. They're not serving the other people. So let's do this. Let's build a 2026, a thriving 2026. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and stick around if you want more thriving questions. I will be talking about this more and more. So see you.